Must be giant.
Lock in.
Nah, no need to lock in my. Huh? Yeah, I would have went if I had to.
I forgot about it.
Very true. Yes, they do on the same fight today. You say you've done it 3? No, 2. A little early. Untold. It's not early. He's staying tomorrow.
We on. Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. This is Naseed gifted in
Dilettante,
and this is the Phocused Black podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 17. Episode 17. Today we are going to cover a number of things, but today we're going to cover biotechnology, Odyssey, science playing God. Join us for a thought-provoking voyage into the realm of biotechnology as we look at gene editing, personalized medicine, and stem cell research where the lines between science and ethics blur. So we wanted to kind of get into a number of things this this evening. So we want to thank you all for tuning in and being a part of this journey with us. And I wanted to kind of tap into a few things, but I found this real interesting article talking about the next biggest technology trends in the next 10 years, right? And with the next biggest technology trends in the next 10 years, one, of course, was AI. So, tapping into AI, we talk about AI and all of the things that come along with it. But one of the things that, and it also goes into in automation. So AI automation, which goes hand in hand. And this article on Forbes.com, written by Bernard Marr, uh, talks about two major trends. One is AI and automation. The other one, which is we talking about biotechnology, right? We talk about healthcare being transformed by biotechnology. And one of the things that it says, and I just want to quote this, ongoing discoveries and investment into the fields like genetic engineering, personalized medicine, and stem cell research are likely to have a huge impact on the way we cure and care for people in the year 2034. So 2034 advances in gene editing, and we're going to talk about that. And technologies like CRISPR Cas9 may make it possible to correct genetic disorders before birth. This could reduce prevalent hereditary diseases like muscular dystrophy, sciatic fibrosis, and it can also even reduce the overall genetic predisposition to negative effects of high cholesterol or blood pressure. So the societal impacts of this can be huge, including extending human lifespans. So this technology that we're going to be talking about, when we talk about gene hacking, right? We're going to be talking about how that is actually going to affect. And the CRISPR technology, which is short for the polytropic repeating sequences of DNA. So we're talking about taking DNA, genetically hacking into that DNA, removing whatever bad genes, bad cells into that, and then replicating that into something. Now, this all sounds like something that's like science fiction, something that we saw in a movie. If you think about Blade Runner, if you think about Jurassic Park, that is all some things that this kind of speaks to.
Yeah.
So we wanted to kind of talk about that and the ethics of it, because I know we just finished up a series, the X gene, with X-Men 97 and everything. And, we talk about actually making real live mutants, because this technology is something that is being, the FDA actually just approved some, human clinical trials where they're actually, changing embryos, and also adding to this, when we talk about, I want to go back to a movie. Remember The Fly?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
back in the 80s.
Yeah, back in the 80s. So remember The Fly, and The Fly where he was trying to do teleportation.
Yeah.
And in this process, he actually had his genes spliced with a human a common housefly, right?
He got in the machine.
Yeah, because he got in because of and that kind of more, because this is kind of like what we're talking about with this type of technology, with this CRISPR. So I mean, that's the movie version of it, but this is actually something that they're doing in China. Where they actually did some clinical trials where we're talking about, the whole ethics of this whole thing, and how we tap into all of this, because biotechnology, we're talking about, changing genetic diseases, hacking into people's genes, their DNA, and doing some real powerful things, but also talking about how is that like the science playing God? Like, how you feel about that aspect of it?
I mean, it is a form of, me personally, it is a form of playing God, and it's almost some way sickening. It's like, where do it end?
Yeah.
And so it's like, these guys, they're never just satisfied with basic life. Like,
Yeah.
like things is good, and they feel, oh, it needs to be. They need to keep pushing the envelope to where it doesn't make any sense. So, like when you talk about gene splice and all these experiments, sometimes I say, who was giving them the okay?
Well, I mean,
we know the government.
Well, yeah, because right now the FDA just actually approved some trials with regards to this, just as of last year and everything. So that is when we talk about gene editing. They were doing the trials back in 2018 in China, but now over here, now this is actually becoming something that is, more common space and everything. Now, of course, they are they doing it at the sperm and embryo level.
For the babies.
Yeah, for the babies. So now when we talk about designer babies, where you could, add.
The one is eye color.
Yeah, the eye color. If you want them to be tall, and increase their IQ, all of these different things. I kind of think about that just like how we talk about, transgenders, transgender male. No, what is it? I want to make sure I'm saying it correct. Transgender women. Yeah, transgender woman. A transgender woman playing within women's sports, right?
Yeah.
When genetically they, of course, have the makeup of a man playing in a woman's sport, so they are far more advanced. So now take that on a genetics level, and then being able to make somebody faster, stronger. They already screen you for drugs and athletics and everything else.
Yeah.
Now, but what if you already been genetically modified? To be able to be this superhuman, superhero serum, that type thing.
Captain America
with the super serum.
Yeah, the super serum, and bulky and all. What was the new name?
Oh, Bucky was Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier.
Basically, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But there's a side of it where sometimes people gotta realize nature has an effect on things too. The time you was born, the location, the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they could shoot you up with something, hopefully become smarter, but you never know what nature got in store for you.
Oh yeah, and that's where the whole fact of you trying to using science to try to play God doesn't
Yeah,
avoid you from the natural effect, because it's a system, it's an ecosystem. You
yeah,
know, we evolve and adapt to the environment. Now, if you're trying to enhance, but then you don't know the overall effects, because the human body is such a machine and vehicle. So when you disrupt that balance of the
yeah.
energy, the systems that are actually being built can actually cause a defect, or in some other areas.
But you know where you see that at the most? Dogs.
Oh yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
they
They
treat all
definitely.
them little dogs and all that, what happened? They have heart problems,
Hmm.
arthritis. The dog so little can't even go out in the cold no more. Like it's
Yeah,
just
go outside. Period.
defect after defect with all those little dogs due to the unnatural way they came about.
Hmm. I mean, because they're experimenting with using this gene splicing, this gene editing. They're experiment with pigs and stuff, trying to grow organs and stuff. I
With
know
the heart.
one of the previous weeks we talked about 3D printing
Yeah,
organs and everything, but also using this. And then one of the things that they found out with this technology was that it's actually cheaper to do it, with this gene splicing technology and everything this way. But we talk about from an ethical standpoint, and understanding that, like, you can't play with nature. You can't play with the natural course of events. And if you believe in a higher power, you
yeah.
know,
But they're like
how do you
these people don't believe that.
circumvent that? Yeah.
They believe that the math or the science is their God or their language.
Mm-hmm.
And even like when you mentioned the pig, how they created the heart and did the pig heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
They did 3 cases, and the last one just recently, everybody died.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And because it just ain't meant to be.
And they were talking about this when we talk about designer babies, because I was actually watching a TEDx talk about designer babies. And you know the people who have the money, who social economic status to be able to afford this, would do these type of things,
Yeah,
to kind of create the child that they want and all of this other stuff, but not understanding that when you know actively try to enhance one system, you will
yeah,
genetically impact another system, and you don't even know the long-term or short-term effects of these type of things. And I know this is a very high level conversation, that we get into, but this is actually happening right now. So we wanted to be able to kind of tap in, and we know that it's super controversial, because you know if you are looking to oh man, I want my kid to be blue eyes. I want him to be 6 foot, 6'8", so they could hoop, or be this ultimate athlete, or whatever the case may be as smart as um have an IQ of 300, or
yeah.
whatever the case may be. All of these things people are trying to put or embed into the super child, and now I'm like, wow. So now this goes into like what I think about when he talk about the X-Men, and mutations, and genetic genes, and
Yeah.
and having those type of things, when inherently black people always had a superpower, with the melanin and everything as well. So I don't even want to get it touch into that. That's a whole nother
The
podcast.
thing about it is, like you saying, what you're saying is once you start to do that, you disrupt about the DNA structure
Mm-hmm.
or the genes, like you changing the chromosomes within the DNA structure. And once you do that, nature has to balance itself out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also within that is a thing what people don't understand. Say like if they do tamper with the embryo, now that same embryo goes within the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And now, based on this child still can turn out to be a certain way
Mm-hmm.
or not, because based on what the mother eats, the mother thinks, how the mother conduct herself on the day, stress,
I mean, yeah, and that's the natural
anything.
environment that
Yeah,
you are not accounting for as well, because everything is a part of an ecosystem.
yeah. So that can alter the state of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, or if the mother's on drugs,
Yeah.
drinking alcohol, coffee, or certain food products now, is most of the food so poisonous that it can have a alternate effect on whatever gene splicing they did. Maybe a certain chemical to change the whole thing around.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, when we talk about genetic engineering, we've already experienced this with our foods, right?
yeah,
So this has already been a part. So when you go to the chicken shack and you go get that kill breast, let me get that kill breast, son. Let me get the big one right there, son. That kill breast right there. That's probably been genetically modified, right? That chicken didn't see any daylight, has been added to steroids, hormones, all types of things. So all of those things are happening, but that kill breast is super, super big, and that's why you actually want it. But we're going to just pause right there. So with this, if you haven't done so, we need you to thank you for tuning in to the Futures Black podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you haven't done so, please make sure you don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know where you're tuning in from. Thank you for watching the Futures Black podcast. Once again, we're talking about biotechnology and science of playing God, right? So the science playing God, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at biotechnology, Odyssey, and the science playing God. And one of the things with that, we're talking about gene editing, gene splicing. We've seen this in science fiction, on so many different levels, from Jurassic Park to The Fly, Blade Runner, if you're a fan of that series, and that's some of the stuff that's been happening. But they're doing this now with the embryos and everything. Now there are some pros, when we talk about genetic uh, disorders that are hereditary, and being able to correct those things. But then you get into the other aspect where it becomes a whole designer piece where people are looking to design their kids. They want the kids to have light brown eyes and pink hair or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that you guarantee that it's a boy or if it's a girl or any of these aspects, but not understanding that you can do that, but there is mutations because all of these things are reside within the system. And that's how we talk about science playing God, and then the ethics that surrounds this whole thing. Because the FDA just approved, these clinical trials when we get into the stem cells and embryos and being able to inject them and then being able to edit the genes, the DNA of these particular embryos, and they're scientifically. And one of the things that this is actually a cheaper technology, to be able to do this. But we're talking about the ethics that go along with it and everything. And then not knowing that if you change one system, everything exists in a system, from the largest orbit where and we're just talking about the universe, that, that the, everything revolves around certain universe, and everything has a particular orbit, from the larger systems to the more micro systems where you have the electrons going around the nucleus of a particular atom. So those are all things that exist, and when you disrupt those things and you try to enhance or add or modify those things, causes other additions. Yeah. I okay. We always have a little comic relief break in this thing. I thought Dilettante was going to share the comment.
yeah. Yeah.
But let us know your feelings on genetic engineering, these designer babies that they're talking about. But once again, like I said, Forbes said that this is one of the biggest trends in technology in the next 10 years.
Well, one of the biggest one you briefly touched on that we know fully is the food, which they've been doing it like certain food wasn't in existence in nature and they created it like certain foods like certain potatoes, corn, certain fruit. So and then one of the major ones we all talk about designing fruit that has no seeds in it. So you have watermelon with no seeds, certain apples, oranges, grapes, no seeds. So this is like one of the first stages that you see on the public world of genetic, alteration is the food system. And not realizing they do that because if you have foods with no seeds, and the seed is a representation of life. So once you remove the seed, you remove the generational life cycle.
Yeah, and the reproductive. We talk about the reproductive cycle and everything. The natural order of things.
Yeah, so the seed or the fruit doesn't grow and create the next cycle. So that's what happens. So that's maybe why, if you look in today's society, why people promote death so much. Because they're eating food of the dead from the fruit. Because the fruit has a one life sentence. Everything has a one life sentence. So, and the food killing you, everything. So these are the first stages where we have to really look at the effects that it's having on the public or society.
Well, I mean, and that goes into life brings life. So if you're eating things that are already dead, how are you going to extend or add to your life? So these things are definitely something I really want to know, like how the audience kind of feels about this whole genetic and modified engineering or genetic engineering, gene editing, to look to improve and add, designer babies. I always look at the mutants, the X Factor and everything with all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So there is some, future directions of where these things are going. So within the next 10 years, there's two trends, and we kind of briefly talked about the first one because we always talk about AI and automation and how that's going to affect, the job market, how it's going to affect your lifestyle. Now you take that and, how we naturally progress through evolution, through the environment and everything. Now, if you're trying to add to that with genetic engineering and just saying, hey, maybe we don't need 5 fingers, we just need 4. Let's genetically modify human beings so we don't have those type of functions. Or I've seen some trials where you enhance eyesight, so you correct vision, provide infrared vision, all of these other different things. So now we got these genetically modified humans, and how are we going to adjust to that?
It's like I look at it like there's but so far you can take it before the system collapses. And eventually, when we look, the system is collapsing. And part of this genetic gene splice and the ethics of playing God is because there's a certain subset, a certain group of people who are trying to extend their life on this earth or their power and control over the masses. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, no matter what, you're going to die.
Well, yeah, you're definitely going to die. And it's for
no longer.
The irony of this is, hey, you could do all of these things. You could add a new heart. We could even cyberize and modify your body to have augmentations and do all of this stuff. And you can walk outside and get hit by a car. Like all of these things are a part of a system. So you could look to extend your life, but when you cheat the system, the system also cheats you. I almost think of it like Final Destination in the sense where okay, we trying to cheat death, but death is always kind of all the way around the corner because part of life is death. Yeah.
And it's like how those people trying to cheat the system on the weight level, so they taking that, what's that, OPEC, OSET or something. Now they all looking dead or sick or whatever.
Yeah.
Or when people get lipo or certain operations, they look crazy, and the weight come right back.
Yeah, because you never changed the habits that
Yeah.
actually got you to that. You know, you just change. You try to modify the system, or you try to bypass, because that's what gastric bypass does.
No one can beat nature.
Yeah. And when you go unnatural, things happen to you, because, like I said, all these things exist in a system. From the largest system where we have orbits and everything. Your molecules and your the atoms in your body goes in a certain orbit as well. So from the largest system to the smallest system, all the way down to the electrons, how they go around the nucleus of the protons in your body and everything, because you have electromagnetic current because of that, or your EMF, or some people look at your EMP, your electromagnetic pulse, and when you disrupt that system, you actually cause all types of diseases and disorders in your own body, and then your body can't auto repair, because they use in the auto repair sequence hacking into that aspect of it to be able to do the gene editing.
Man, it's a wicked world we live in.
Yeah, man.
First sign of
but you heard it. I don't know if you heard it first here, but you definitely heard it here on the Futures Black podcast, where we talk about this different stuff that's affecting not only the world around us, but our immediate community.
First signs of we see the ethics talked about. I don't know if you remember the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh yeah.
Another movie they talk about the ethics of this was Jurassic Park. Even The Fly. So a lot of these movies they talk about the ethics of this gene splicing, genetic experimentation, DNA alteration, and each time, a majority of times, it has a negative effect. Like, for example, when even to go back to with the guy with the heart, and after the third experiment, they tried it, and he lived just 6 weeks, and he died. After that, died 6 weeks, and they said because the pig heart had a virus and caused a virus and a shutdown in his body. So it's like,
and then you take a foreign part, element, body part, organ, and putting it into another system that's uniquely designed.
And the pig of all animals.
Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm good. That's pretty much what I will be on. But let us know what you're thinking about, when we talk about genetic engineering and science playing God, if you pray to a higher power or if you just believe in science, let us know what you think, because there are some pros to all of this. But when people go into the realm of being the creator, that is where we draw the line and everything like that. Once you go above and beyond the essence of what is natural, that's of course disrupting the system, disrupting the ecosystem that adds to how we bring life into this world. Yep, definitely
topic worth pondering on. After a while, you start thinking.
This is definitely thought-provoking, because like I said, on one side is always, the pros of how we, take away genetic disorder. If you have lupus or sickle cell anemia, you're hereditary prone to, certain cancers and everything, that can be corrected, but also when you correct those things, what system, because your body is a machine in itself.
What methodology using to correct it.
So what methodology using to correct it, and then how, once you correct it, how does that interrupt the system that's already in place? So all of those things have to be taken into account when you do these things, and it's in an unnatural way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hot in this booth.
Yes, it is. I know we got our winter promo, but now we moving into the spring summer, and it's smoking in here. It's definitely smoking. I'm shining, shine bright like a diamond over here, the black star. But I'm trying to stay hydrated because it's definitely hot in the booth. It's definitely hot in the booth. So we like to just summarize when we talk about one of the things, when we talk about medicine, you know, with medicine, it's always been, like this one size fits all, like if you have this, one of the things that we talk about achievements within medicine is the fact that they are personalizing medicine. So you're getting a customized plan based on, what's going on with you. So that is something that's, revolutionizing healthcare because you're able to use big data to be able to collect enough information on an individual level versus being generalized, information based on what the 90% of the individuals, prognosis and treatment was for particular diseases and everything. So being able to use big data to be able to kind of do that, that's actually been a nice advancement, and they're making that much more prevalent within the medical industry and everything. And so that is something that these pharmaceutical companies, and some of the others. I mean, I am a more into holistic healing, with regards to all of this stuff. But I do see the benefits for those individuals who have, certain disorders or ailments that are, troubling them. Uh, but I also look at a lot of the medicine that has been developed is also come from some natural piece, but the medicine that they give is a treatment, not the cure. And being that they can't put a patent on the actual natural um, pathogens or pathways, is one of the reasons why they don't endorse these type of treatments for a number of these diseases that are affecting our community or affecting people in general.
Yeah, so even that you mentioned that what's the lady right now? They arrested the white lady trying to give her like 60 years
Mm-hmm.
for health tips.
Oh yeah. I mean, what you saw what happened with Dr. Sabi. If you don't know who Dr. Sabi is, please look him up. He has come up with a cure for cancer and a number of other things, and they wanted to put him in jail. They called him a fraud. They called him a quack. Oh, what do they call it? Quack.
Yeah.
All of these medical malpractice, and he went to trial and proved through clinical data, that his methodologies work, his treatments work. So if you don't believe me, look it up. We just provide the information. But also, there is also another controversy around like the doctor death of Dr. Sabi.
Yeah.
So uh, in lieu of that, I like to say rest in peace. But also, the next generation, Dr. Sabi's son, actually has a store in Newark here at the Aquafit. They actually have that. So shout out to them. If you are into a holistic healing and medicine, they have a number of these type of medicine and holistic health things at the Dr. Sabi Junior store on Central Ave in Newark, New Jersey. So just make sure you tap in, don't tap out to that. We got some comments. Let's see what we got here. Peace, uh, peace, Jay's Jim. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in to the Futures Black podcast. We definitely appreciate you tuning in. We want you to, let us know what you think about what we're talking about today. We talk about genetic engineering. We talk about personalized medicine, and everything else in between. thank you. Like I said, once again, this is the topic, but you know, one of the things we're talking about, you are what you eat, and Dilettante, he hit on a heavy point. If you are eating foods that have been genetically modified, because that's what the GMO is, um, then we're talking about you trying to produce life with something that is already has one cycle, right? Because the seeds that are within these particular fruits and vegetables or whatever are supposed to be a natural reproductive cycle. And if you interrupt that, then you're actually eating something that has one life cycle, which is not going to be as nutritional to be able to add life to life, because life brings life and death brings death. So that's why when you eat these various flesh eating things and stuff like that. That's why it's so hard on the body, you know. So that's something that just food for thought, as we're talking about, a number of these things. But definitely let us know what you're thinking and how you're feeling about all of this stuff. Uh, oh yeah, bioengineering, yes, definitely. So you know, what Fred talking about, don't forget about bioengineering. Yeah, bioengineering. That's what we talk about: genetically modified food, bioengineering, biotechnology. Gene splicing, because that's what all of this kind of ties into. Where you're modifying the food, you're trying to you're trying to do designer babies and all of this other stuff that's in between that. So that is a part of that's a part of this. That is definitely a part of all of this that we're talking about this evening. And we want to just kind of, see what the public feels about this. We're here to educate the community about these things, but we also want you to make informed decisions about this stuff because you may not be as equipped or have the resources to talk about it. But once again, what Forbes has said, with this article is that it's one of the biggest trends in the next 10 years. So to understand that this is coming and then and understand where the future state is, but also understand what the present state is now, where they're actually doing all of these clinical trials. They actually have an FDA approval here in the US. And in 2018, they actually did genetic editing, as they would call it, or genetic modifying. They're hacking your DNA. They're hacking your genes. So that's something that's happening. And in China, they actually did that with some embryos and actually developed two twins with that. A set of twins. I want to say two twins. I stand corrected. With that. Yeah. So I guess we'll just definitely pause on that. Thank you for tuning in to the Futures Black Podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Hey, tell a friend we're looking to grow this channel each and every week. We want to provide you with information. We want to provide you with entertainment. We want to have some fun, with all of this stuff. But we want to inform this community and then also be able to change the paradigm of individuals who within this tech field, because there is less than 5% of black and browns within this tech field. And if we are in it, then we can be definitely more ethical about some of the things that are actually happening, and how it will affect our community.
Yeah, one of the things we really need to stress is the food. Like, for example, Bill Gates, and he has that thing called Opal, which is like a chemical on the fruit that's almost hard to clean, wash off.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy none of those products. Then even the fact, the way he thinks, like he wants to get rid of meat to make like genetically modified meat, Beyond Burgers. He want everybody on Beyond Burgers, Impossible Burgers, which is dangerous within itself.
Yep.
So, we want y'all to be mindful that the so-called vegetarian food, we vegetarians, but we just telling you cut back on that stuff.
Oh yeah. That process, regardless, when processed food is processed food, right? So regardless if it's meat or if it's actually those things are not healthy for you. Look at the amount of salt, look at the amount of sugar, fat, all of that stuff that that those products actually have. Some of that stuff is worse than hamburgers and stuff like that. And you need to, because I like the taste of Beyond Burgers, but there was a time that I never even actually had these products. We come up with a time when you were vegan, you didn't have these type of options, you know. But you can't, just like how you can't eat McDonald's or Burger King each and every day, you can't eat this stuff each and every day, because you will have these same health implications that you have, you know, with high blood pressure, you know, sugar, you know, all of these other things that kind of comes with, I mean, as far as diabetes and everything else that comes along with, you know, eating improper foods.
And then, you know, my sister texted me, she said bioengineer in the food, they said there's aborted fetus tissues inside of it. So there's all types of chemicals. I mean, these people are crazy what they're doing with this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So be mindful, read the package, and, you know, start also studying the terms that's on the back of the package.
Oh, yeah. You got to read the labels. Read the labels. You got to read the labels.
Read the labels. And people don't realize a lot of the food products we have in America is banned around
in other
the world.
countries. Yeah, in other countries.
So that should let you know, like, you'll look at some food products around the world, it'll have four items on it. And ours, I have 20, 30 items. It could be cereal, it could be anything. So keep that in mind. So when you think of people like Bill Gates and all that, since we talking about ethics, they're some of the most unethical people. So, you know, I advise you to stay away from any food products, any products that they produce or make. We understand every once in a while.
Oh, and a good rule of thumb is, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't be eating it.
Or your ingredients, it should be no more than 4 ingredients. So always think of that when you eating some of these foods, you know, because it's dangerous out here. A lot of this processed and fake vegetarian food is leading to cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's high in soy estrogen, so it's creating balance, especially in women. It's leading to a high cancer rate. Within men, it's creating a feminine, like, breasts, things of that nature. So keep that in mind. They know this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like they're running a real-time experiment on the public.
So, and do your history, because this is not far-fetched.
Yeah.
Check out the Tuskegee experiment and everything else. You know, when they experiment on humans and everything else. So please.
Yeah,
I mean,
we a book called The Medical Apartheid.
Yes.
And that's something that
really, I mean, and, you know, and just to educate the viewers, you know, if you want to know how sick, you know, individual, or, you know, when we talk about the FDA, it's been FDA approved. Go into your cabinet, go into your medicine cabinet, get the tube of toothpaste. Look at the label on the tube of toothpaste.
Yeah.
And you will see that it says, if more than a teaspoon is swallowed. Now, we're talking about something that you put in your mouth each and every day.
Yeah.
But if it's more than swallow, it says contact the poison control center immediately. That's what it says.
Yeah.
So understanding that and knowing that this is FDA approved and all of this other stuff, you know, most of the time we don't have your best interest, and we don't know what the short-term effects and the long-term effects. Now, am I telling you not to brush your teeth? No, I'm not telling you to do that. I don't want you to have steak breath and all this other stuff. What I am telling you is that you need to be conscious of what you are putting in your body, and what, you know, what is allowed for you to be able to put in your body, and you think that, you know, these interest groups have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're gonna close out. You know, so thank you all for tuning in. This is the Futures Black podcast, and we got a couple of things that's coming up. You know, I want to hit them with the Jazen project that's coming up. So we're doing a Kickstarter for the Afrofuturism 2D immersive experience called Jazen. the Afrofuturism experience. And I want you guys to see that. This is going to be coming out July, I believe it's July 8th. I got to look at the date again, but July 8th, we're doing the Kickstarter. So check this out and let us know what you think.
My name is Jazen Scott, and I'm a research oncologist. I've dedicated my life to finding a cure for cancer, and my team and I have made a breakthrough. But before we could bring the cure to the public, tragedy struck.
Watch you take my blood from me. Y'all beat my bro illegally. In front of his home, his mama's. Yeah.
There was a shootout, and an anti-terrorism squad trooper lost their life. I was close to death when they brought me in for questioning. I was accused of being involved. They wanted information about the shootout, but what they didn't realize was that the cure for cancer costs more than you could imagine. We discovered that the cure was expensive to make, and big pharmaceutical companies would try to charge outrageous prices for it. We wanted to get the cure to the people who needed it, without them having to choose between their lives and finances.
You killed our brother, didn't you?
This Kickstarter campaign is more than just to raise funds for the graphic novel. It's to build an Afrofuturism experience that includes poems that infuse the story with raw emotion, grappling with the bigger picture of social justice, and pushing us to imagine a more equitable future. Thank you for helping to make this dream a reality.
Be a part of the journey and help bring Jazen's story to life in the graphic novel, Jazen, The Rose That Grew from the Concrete, Part 1.
I remember I was starving, don't know how to let go, but I let go.
So that was Jazen, the Afrofuturism experience. That's something that we're building on Kickstarter. We're going to be doing a crowdfunding for that in July. So get ready because we're going to be ramping up to that. So we're going to do a 2D immersive experience with that. So it's going to be spoken word. It's going to be visual. It's going to be audio visual, DJ, live band, all of those things is something that we're building currently. And we're super excited about that. You know, that's one of the projects that we have. And then we also have P.B.Soldier Blacklisted. So those of you who are fans of P.B.Soldier, we actually have P.B.Soldier Blacklisted. That will be out within the next month or two. So we are finishing up that. We're finishing up the soundtrack. So we're looking to be doing that. Hopefully, this will premiere. No, excuse me. This is going to premiere in October. I'm not saying hopefully nothing. This is going to speak it into existence. This is going to happen in October of 2024. Jazen, who's a research oncologist, this connects to our breast cancer awareness initiative, which is something that is super dear to both of us, you know, just by losing individuals to this wretched disease called cancer. And that's why we talk about genetic engineering and everything. So this episode was all about biotechnology and biotechnology Odyssey and science playing God. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Futures Black podcast. My name is Naseed Gifted, and this is
And
this is the Futures Black podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.